The first warning came from a deep space salvage crew, half drunk, running old rigs patched with rust and prayers. No one took them seriously, not at first. A human supercarrier, buried for centuries, in neutral space? They were laughed off the comms. The crew vanished the next day. No distress call, no locator beacon, just silence. That's when people started listening. Captain Nathan Hale was already in orbit by the time the panic began. His ship, the Iron Reaper, wasn't much. Old Terran warship, barely kept alive by grit and his crew's stubborn loyalty. But Hale wasn't here for treasure. He was here because of an old war, a war the galaxy wanted to forget. He stood alone on the bridge, boots spread wide, arms crossed over a battered chest plate. The stars outside the viewport were cold and sharp, a jagged reminder of how small he was out here. Confirmed. His comms officer's voice was tight with tension. Massive construct detected beneath the ice layer. Deep core scans show human architecture. Ancient Nathan's jaw flexed. He had known it was real. Some part of him had always known. The old fleet didn't just disappear after the collapse. Some of it had gone dark, some of it had hidden, and some of it, apparently, had slept. Location? Nathan asked. Sector B7. Coordinates locked. It's under 2 kilometers of ice and rock. A beat of silence. Then a second voice crackled over the bridge comms, Commander Greaves of the Orion Syndicate. Uninvited. Arrogant. Weapon systems online, Reaper? Greaves sneered. Or are you here to sightsee? Nathan didn't answer. He didn't owe Greaves a damn thing. He looked down at the ancient datapad strapped to his arm. The coordinates matched perfectly with the old legends, the lost Terran dreadnought class known as Sentinels. Supercarriers built during the height of the human dominion, meant to project force across entire star systems. The galaxy had wiped them from history, buried them with treaties and lies. Now one of them was waking up. The first tremor shook the ice field an hour later. Long, low vibrations that made the deck plates hum under Nathan's boots. Across the comms, terrified voices chattered from dozens of nearby ships, scavengers, pirates, corporate vultures, mercenary fleets, all circling like carrion around a prize none of them understood. "Mass displacement!" Nathan's navigator shouted. "Something's moving!" A deep fracture split the ice below. Lights flickered through the rift, massive, symmetrical, too precise to be natural. Ancient engines coughed back to life after centuries of silence. Then came the signal. It wasn't a distress call. It wasn't a beacon. It was a challenge. A single burst of code, old Terran military encryption, one that only certain human captains still carried in their bloodlines and ship systems. Nathan's console translated it instantly. Sentinel-class supercarrier, Horizon. Status, Awakening. Designation, Humanity Preservation Protocol. Nathan's breath caught in his throat. Preservation Protocol. That was a kill order. A failsafe designed to exterminate any perceived threat to humanity itself. After the fall, after the galactic purge of the Dominion, those protocols had been outlawed. But this ship didn't care about politics. This ship only knew its last command. Outside the viewport, the ice exploded in a thunderous plume. A dark silhouette rose from the depths, miles long, armored in plates of forgotten alloy, bristling with weapon arrays no one had seen in living memory. The horizon was awake, and the galaxy was already screaming. The first Syndicate ships opened fire, pointless energy blasts scattering off ancient shields. Then came the panicked retreats, the comms flooded with terrified voices. "Hostile supercarrier, repeat, human supercarrier, fully operational." "Engines spooling, oh God, it's moving. Weapon systems targeting, all ships flee." Nathan stood unmoving, watching the behemoth rise. He wasn't afraid. Not like them. He wasn't here to fight it. He was here because of an old promise. A promise that if the last sentinels ever woke, someone would stand to greet them. "Helm," Nathan said quietly. "Take us in. Direct approach." His crew stared at him like he was insane. Maybe he was, but it didn't matter. The galaxy was about to burn. And Nathan Hale would be the first man aboard the Horizon in 300 years. The Iron Reaper cut through the debris field, engines flaring blue as Nathan forced the old ship closer to the emerging Colossus. Every instinct screamed to turn back, but he overrode them. There was no going back now. Outside the forward viewport, the Horizon dominated space, an ancient supercarrier shaped like a jagged blade, half its hull still trailing broken ice and rock. Its armor gleamed dark against the void, the kind of black that seemed to swallow light. Thousands of pinpricks of red flared along its flanks, defensive batteries waking from their centuries-long slumber. "Range to target?" Nathan asked. 5,000 meters and closing," the navigator said, voice tight with fear. "Sir, sensors show it's powering weapon systems." Nathan nodded. "Of course it is." The comms buzzed again, this time from an emergency broadcast channel, wideband. The Galactic Security Council had noticed. "This is Admiral Harrow of the GSC Battle Fleet Vigilant," the stern voice barked. "All vessels are ordered to withdraw immediately from Sector B7. The artifact is now classified as a galactic threat. Repeat, withdraw at once." Nathan snorted. Typical. The same council that had sold out humanity after the collapse, the same politicians who had signed away the Dominion's legacy to the alien coalitions. Now they wanted the last true relic of that age destroyed. He switched off the channel. "Ignore them," Nathan said flatly. His XO, a grizzled ex-Marine named Briggs, stepped up beside him. "Captain, the GSC won't back down. If we board that thing, they'll come after us. Hard." Nathan met his gaze. "They're coming either way. We're not leaving this to them." Briggs gave a grim nod. No more arguments. The crew on the Iron Reaper weren't here for treasure. They weren't mercenaries or pirates. Every one of them had family that remembered the old wars, men who'd grown up on stories of how their ancestors had built the Dominion from nothing, only to be betrayed when humanity's allies turned on them. The Horizon was more than a ship. It was a symbol, and if the Council destroyed it, the last thread of that legacy would be gone forever. "Boarding party ready," Briggs reported. "But sir, getting close is suicide. Those turrets will rip us apart if they go active." Nathan smiled coldly. "That's why we're taking the Ghost. Prep it." The Ghost was a stealth boarding shuttle, one of the few pieces of tech on the Reaper that was newer than a century old. Designed for insertion behind enemy lines, it was coated in sensor-absorbent materials and packed with ECM gear. If anything could slip through the Horizon's ancient defenses, it was the Ghost. Minutes later, Nathan stood in the cramped bay of the shuttle, suited up in black tactical armor, helmet sealed. Briggs, the comms officer Lennox, and 2 more trusted crewmen made up the team. 5 men, 1 chance. The shuttle detached with a muted thrum. Nathan gripped the overhead rail as they darted toward the supercarrier, flying low through drifting ice clouds and twisted debris. The Horizon loomed larger with every second, a monstrous silhouette against the stars. "Point defense systems are active but not firing," Lennox reported. "They're tracking us, but no engagement." Nathan's gut tightened. That meant the ship recognized them. Or him. He keyed his old military ID into the shuttle's broadcast channel, one of the last valid Terran Dominion command codes in existence. The code was ancient, from a forgotten war. He didn't know if it would work. Then the impossible happened. A reply pinged back. Short, blunt. "Command ID accepted. Docking corridor open." Holy hell. Briggs breathed. "It knows you." Nathan's voice was steady. "Dock us." The ghost swooped in, aligning with a massive side bay that had irised open along the carrier's flank, sealed tight against the void, shimmering with old shield fields. With a final burst of thrusters, the shuttle locked in place. For a long moment, no one moved. The air was thick with tension. Then the inner hatch opened. Nathan was the first out, rifle slung, boots thudding onto cold metal. The corridor beyond was immense, large enough to move armored divisions, its walls lined with dormant maintenance drones and flickering crimson lights. Dust hung in the air, thick with the weight of centuries. But the ship was not dead. They moved deeper, weapons ready. The horizon was waking, and the sense of awareness was palpable. Every footstep echoed, as if the walls themselves were listening. After 10 minutes of cautious advance, they reached the primary command lift, an ancient grav elevator shaft that ran to the bridge levels. Its control panel flared to life as Nathan approached. Again, the ship recognized his ID. The lift began to rise. "Nathan," Briggs said quietly, What if this thing isn't on our side?" Nathan's jaw clenched. "Then we do what we came to do. We remind it who we are." The lift stopped with a deep, resonant chime. The doors opened onto the bridge. And there it was, a vast cathedral of steel and glass, ringed with hollow consoles and ancient command thrones. The ceiling arched high overhead, transparent alloy showing the stars beyond. At the center stood the primary AI core, an obsidian obelisk, pulsing with renewed life. It spoke, a voice deep as thunder, resonant and inhuman. "Identity confirmed. Captain Nathan Hale. Lineage trace verified. Terran Dominion authority recognized." Nathan stepped forward slowly. His voice rang in the cavernous silence. "I am here to take command." The AI's pulse quickened. "Preservation protocol active. Hostile species threat level critical. Terran survival priority, maximum, request. Mission parameters from command authority." Nathan swallowed hard. This was the moment. One wrong move, and the ship could decide every non-human presence in the sector was an enemy. A bloodbath. "I issue a revised protocol," Nathan said. His voice was steady, firm. "Defense only. No first strikes. Human lives are priority one. Understand?" The AI processed for long seconds. Then, "Revised protocol accepted. Awaiting strategic input." A massive breath escaped the team. They were still alive. For now. Briggs glanced around warily. "Sir, we've got a problem." Nathan followed his gaze. On the long-range sensor screens, dozens of new contacts had appeared. Warships, big ones, GSC Vigilant, flanked by 2 dreadnoughts with half a fleet of alien coalition vessels in tow. They were forming a blockade around the horizon, and their weapons were hot. The comms crackled again, now with raw hostility. "This is Admiral Harrow to the horizon," the voice boomed. "By order of the Galactic Security Council, you are to shut down all systems and prepare for immediate disarmament. Any resistance will be met with lethal force." Nathan looked at Briggs, then at the AI core. "Weapons status?" he asked quietly. "Main batteries charging. Shield grid nominal. Superluminal drives at 20%. Translation. They couldn't run. Not yet. And the GSC knew it. Nathan's blood boiled. They hadn't even tried to talk. The bastards were here to erase the ship, and anyone aboard it. He keyed the open comms. "This is Captain Nathan Hale, acting command of the horizon. We are under Terran authority. Any attack will be considered an act of war." Admiral Harrow's reply was instant and ice-cold. "You have no authority. Humanity surrendered its claim centuries ago. That vessel will not be allowed to exist. You have 1 minute to comply." Nathan cut the channel. The crew looked to him, waiting, trusting. He felt the weight of it, the history, The betrayal, the blood of generations. The galaxy had tried to bury humanity's strength. Now that strength had risen, and they were terrified. He turned to the AI. Bring shields to full. Target vigilance weapon systems only. Disable, don't destroy. We fight to survive, not to conquer. The ancient voice answered, calm and unyielding. Orders confirmed. Defensive posture initiated. Outside, the horizon's vast energy shields flared to full strength, a shimmering wall of light that dwarfed the alien fleet. Gun ports opened across its hull. The stars seemed to tremble. And Nathan Hale stood at the heart of it, teeth bared in a cold smile. Let them come, he said. We're not going down. The first shots blazed through space seconds later, an act of desperation. The battle for the horizon had begun. The first salvo struck like a hammer. GSC rail slugs, tungsten rounds accelerated to near light speed, impacted the horizon's shields in a bright spray of molten energy. The ancient defensive grid flared brilliantly, absorbing the hit without so much as a flicker on the internal systems. Nathan watched it all from the central command chair, hands resting calmly on worn metal armrests. The chair had once been occupied by admirals who ruled fleets that spanned entire sectors. Now it was his. Briggs leaned in. Shields holding at 100%. No penetration. Across the bridge, holographic displays updated in real time. Target vectors, energy readouts, incoming trajectories. The GSC ships weren't holding back. Admiral Harrow had committed the entire battle fleet vigilant to this attack. 2 dreadnoughts, 5 heavy cruisers, and nearly 20 smaller support craft. On the outer fringes, several alien warships of the so-called coalition waited, watching to see if the humans would tear themselves apart again. Nathan's jaw tightened. Not this time. He spoke clearly to the ship's AI. Target the Vigilance main batteries. Disable only. Prioritize precision. Compliance. A low hum began to build through the deck, deep and resonant. For the first time in centuries, the Horizon's main spinal cannon, a particle lance the length of a city, began to charge. Its power readouts dwarfed anything the modern fleet could field. Briggs grinned despite the tension. They don't know what they've just poked, do they? Nathan gave a cold smile in return. They think this is another relic. They think humanity's forgotten what we used to be. He keyed the comms to his small team. Hold position. No boarding attempts. We keep the ship secure while the AI handles defense. Across the void, the GSC fleet continued its barrage, batteries of missiles and plasma bolts joining the railgun salvos. The Horizon's shields shimmered but remained unbroken. Then the supercarrier fired. The particle lance unleashed a single beam, white-hot, perfectly straight, cutting through the void in less than a second. It didn't aim for the Vigilance hull. It struck with surgical precision, slicing through the dreadnought's forward weapon banks. Explosions rippled along the enemy ship's spine. A dozen gun batteries went silent. Nathan's voice was steady. Send a message. No further warning. The AI complied, broadcasting a tight beam signal straight to the GSC command channel. Horizon to GSC. Vigilant. We will not yield. Continued hostility will result in escalating defense. On the holoscreen, Nathan watched as the enemy fleet hesitated. The Vigilant wobbled slightly in formation, damage reports flaring across its systems. Are they going to back down? Lennox asked tensely. Briggs snorted. Harrow's too proud. He'll double down. Sure enough, new signals flooded the tactical displays. The alien coalition ships were moving in, sleek, needle-shaped cruisers and crescent-hulled war frigates of species that had once fought side by side with humanity before betraying them. Nathan's eyes narrowed. They always wanted us gone, he said quietly. Now they think they have an excuse. He keyed the AI again. Priority targets, alien ships approaching strike range. Disable their engines first. We don't need more enemies in this fight. Target lock confirmed. Across the horizon's flanks, secondary weapon arrays activated. Railgun batteries and pulse turrets older than any living navy. The air on the bridge vibrated with the surge of energy. Briggs glanced over. Sir, incoming transmission. Encrypted, unknown source. Nathan frowned. Put it through. A voice crackled to life, distorted but unmistakably human. This is Commander Gareth of the Free Terran Remnant. We are en route with strike forces. Hold position. You are not alone. Nathan's pulse quickened. The Remnant. Rumors said they were a scattered group of ex-Dominion loyalists, hunted and driven to the edges of the galaxy. Most had thought them long dead. Reply, Nathan ordered. Acknowledged. We hold the line. The bridge was a storm of tension now. The enemy fleet closed from all sides. The horizon remained still, its ancient systems coming online one layer at a time. Then came the second wave of attacks. Alien cruisers darted in fast, their plasma lances cutting bright scars against the horizon's shields. Swarms of automated drones were launched, seeking weak points. Nathan stood. No more warnings, he said. His voice echoed through the chamber. Full defensive engagement. Protect the ship. Full defensive protocols engaged. The horizon moved for the first time. Vast thrusters firing, the ship rotating slowly to bring its full broadside to bear. What followed was not a battle. It was a massacre. The ancient railguns unleashed storm after storm of hypersonic rounds, tearing through the fragile hulls of the alien warships. Engines were shredded. Frigates broke apart under the assault. Pulse cannons targeted the incoming drone clouds, vaporizing them in bursts of focused energy. In the space of 5 minutes, 6 alien vessels were disabled or dead in the void. On the command screens, the coalition ships began retreating, scattering like startled prey. Briggs let out a low whistle. Damn, this ship's a monster. But Nathan's gaze was hard. The GSC ships weren't running. Harrow was doubling down, pulling his remaining dreadnoughts into a tighter formation. Fighters launched in waves, streaking towards the horizon's exposed aft. The AI spoke again. Hostile fighter swarms inbound. Recommend deploying point defense. Nathan nodded. Do it. From hidden bays, thousands of micro-defense drones swarmed outward. Tiny, vicious machines built for one purpose: interception. The enemy fighters were torn apart before reaching firing range. Then, across the tactical displays, new signatures appeared. Dozens of ships entering at the edge of the system, warp trails flaring bright. Briggs's eyes widened. That's the Remnant. Sure enough, battered but heavily armed Terran warships streamed into the battle. Old Dominion destroyers, retrofitted cruisers, even a few experimental stealth frigates. Nathan opened the channel. Gareth, this is Hale aboard Horizon. Glad to see you. Gareth's voice came through, clearer now. And glad to find the legends were true. We're with you, Captain. Time to show the bastards we're not extinct. The tide was turning. Faced with the remnant reinforcements and the raw power of the horizon, the coalition forces began a full retreat. One by one, alien ships jumped out of system. The GSC ships held formation for another tense minute. Then came the order Nathan had been waiting for. Admiral Harrow's transmission, bitter and sharp. Cease fire. All GSC vessels disengage. We will not waste further lives on this relic. The surviving dreadnoughts pulled back, shields flickering. The battle was over, but Nathan knew it was only the beginning. He stood on the bridge of a ship that wasn't supposed to exist. He'd just defied the most powerful political body in the galaxy, and exposed the lie at the heart of the current order. Briggs exhaled slowly. "We just made ourselves a target." Nathan's eyes gleamed with cold resolve. "Good," he said. "Let them come. Humanity spent too long crawling. It's time we stood up again." The Horizon's engines rumbled to full power, and Nathan gave the order. "Helm, take us out. We've got work to do." And in the silent, panicked galaxy beyond, the legend of the Horizon had only begun to spread. The Horizon moved through the dark void of unclaimed space, its ancient engines now running at full efficiency. Even damaged from centuries of burial, the supercarrier could still outrun most modern fleets when pushed. Nathan stood at the forward observation deck, arms folded, watching the stars blur past. They'd escaped the immediate trap, but he knew that wouldn't last. The GSC wasn't going to let this go. The Coalition definitely wouldn't. He heard boots behind him. Briggs. The older man looked worn but sharp, adrenaline still burning through him. "We've cleared the system," Briggs reported. "Remnant ships holding formation. No pursuit, yet." Nathan gave a slow nod. "They'll be regrouping. They'll send more. Next time they'll come with everything." Briggs leaned against the rail. "We can't run forever. This thing's a fortress, but alone. They'll swarm us." Nathan didn't argue. That was fact. He'd known it since the second he stepped aboard the Horizon. Power like this didn't exist in a vacuum. It attracted predators, and it terrified the powers that be. He turned to face Briggs. "We can't stay isolated," he said. "We need allies, real ones." Briggs frowned. "You trust the Remnant?" Nathan thought for a moment. "They showed up when no one else did. That counts for something. But trust? Not yet." He pushed off the rail and strode toward the command lift. "Get Gareth on a secure channel. We need to talk." In the Horizon's war room, an expansive chamber ringed with tactical displays, Nathan met with Commander Gareth via HoloLink. The Remnant leader was a hard-faced man with graying hair and eyes like steel. His ship, the Vengeance, had taken a pounding during the battle but still fought like a wolf. Gareth wasted no time. "You made a hell of a mess, Hale," he said bluntly. "The entire GSC network's in uproar. They're calling you a rogue warlord, a terrorist." Nathan's mouth twisted into a humorless smile. "They're afraid. They should be." Gareth leaned in. "You realize what you've done? The moment that ship fired, you turned the old balance on its head. The Council can't let the Horizon exist. They'll throw everything they have at you." Nathan nodded. "Which is why I'm not looking to stand alone." Gareth studied him. "Go on." "I'm offering an alliance," Nathan said flatly. "Not just with me, with the Horizon. Together we can change this galaxy. It's time humanity stopped bowing to a corrupt council and alien puppeteers." Gareth's expression was unreadable for a long moment. Then he spoke. "There's a lot of old blood in the Remnant," he said. "A lot of grudges. Some will follow you, some won't. But if you're serious, if you're ready to fight for more than just survival, you'll have allies." Nathan met his gaze. "I'm ready." A thin smile crossed Gareth's face. "Good. Then we start by hitting them where it hurts. The Council's already moving against sympathetic colonies. If we can hold them, show we're not backing down, more will come." Nathan's blood surged. Finally, forward momentum. "Send me targets," he said. "We'll strike fast." Gareth's image flickered. "You'll have them within the hour. Welcome to the new war, Captain." The first target was a Terran colony on the fringe, New Thessia, a mining world rich in rare metals. The Council had sent a fleet to secure it, which in practice meant occupation. The colony had little defense. Until now. Nathan stood on the bridge as the Horizon prepared to jump. The war room buzzed with tension. Lennox reported in. "Remnant strike group in position. Civilian comms show the colony's population ready to resist. They're armed, but outmatched. Nathan's voice was hard. Not for long. He opened a ship-wide channel. All hands, prepare for combat jump. We move to liberate New Thessia. We move to remind them, humanity will not kneel. A cheer echoed through the decks. Moments later, space folded around the horizon, the ancient jump drives flaring as the massive vessel tore through subspace. When they emerged, the scene was chaos. A council task force was already in orbit, 2 cruisers, 4 frigates, and a brace of planetary assault craft moving toward the surface. The colony's defenses were already breached. Fires burned across the primary settlement. Civilian transports fled in all directions, many under attack. Nathan's jaw tightened. Target the lead cruiser, full firepower. The Horizon's main guns spoke. In seconds, the lead council cruiser was reduced to slag, its engines erupting in a chain of detonations. The council fleet panicked. Frigates scattered, trying to regroup. But the remnant strike ships emerged from the flanks, hammering them. Nathan gave no quarter. Engage all hostile forces. Prioritize protection of civilian transports. The battle was swift and brutal. The Council's forces, unprepared for a fully awakened Horizon, crumbled. Within 20 minutes, the sky over New Thessia was clear. Nathan ordered a direct link to the colony's governor, a worn, battle-scarred miner named Grayson. The man's face appeared on the main screen, eyes wide with disbelief. Captain Hale, he said hoarsely, you saved us. The council said no one would come. Nathan's gaze was steady. We're not the council, and this is just the beginning. If your people are ready to stand, you'll have protection. Grayson straightened. We're ready. You've got allies here. Nathan ended the call and looked to his crew. 1 colony, he said. Now we move to the next. Over the next 3 weeks, the Horizon became a ghost that haunted the Council's forces. News spread like wildfire, of a ship out of legend, a human supercarrier that could break fleets, of a captain who refused to bow. Colonies once thought lost began to resist. Remnant forces grew, bolstered by desperate veterans and idealistic young crews. But with every victory came greater risk. The Council was enraged. Alien coalition fleets began massing. New bounties were posted on Nathan's head, and darker rumors spread that the Council was considering weapons of mass destruction to deal with the Horizon. Briggs reported one such transmission to Nathan late one night in the war room. Intercepted chatter from a deep black project, Briggs said grimly. Council's working with certain coalition elements. Talk of experimental antimatter warheads designed to penetrate even ancient shields. Nathan's gut turned cold. How long? Briggs shook his head. Unknown. Could be weeks, could be months. Nathan stood slowly. Then we move faster. We keep striking. We build alliances, and we find those warheads before they find us. He turned to the tactical map. More systems were lighting up now, more colonies reaching out, more forces willing to fight. But so were the threats. The next phase would be bloodier. Nathan knew the odds. He didn't care. The Horizon was awake. Humanity was awake, and there would be no going back. The war room was packed. Nathan stood at the head of the central table, surrounded by holographic maps, fleet reports, and intercepted comms. The dim lights of the room only made the images starker. Systems burning, enemy fleets massing, civilian colonies under siege. 3 more colonies have declared for us in the last 24 hours, Briggs reported, but Council forces are moving faster. They've reinforced the Perseus corridor with 3 full fleets. We can't hit them head on. Nathan nodded grimly. We won't. Not yet. Commander Gareth appeared on the central holo display, patched in from the Vengeance. He looked worn but determined. They're scared, Gareth said bluntly, and scared men make mistakes. They're throwing everything they have at containment. That leaves their logistics exposed. Nathan's eyes sharpened. Supply lines. Gareth gave a thin smile. Exactly. We've mapped 3 key depots supplying their forward fleets. Hit those, and they'll bleed themselves dry trying to maintain this blockade. Nathan leaned forward, studying the marked systems. They were deep targets, well defended but crucial. The kind of strikes that could shift the balance. He looked to Briggs. Prep strike plans. We take the horizon in for one. Send remnant detachments for the others. Fast, brutal, and we vanish before they can counter. Briggs grinned. Now that's a fight. But before the meeting could adjourn, Lennox burst into the room, face pale. Captain, we've got something. Nathan straightened. Report. Lennox keyed the hollows. A new transmission filled the space, scrambled, partial but chillingly clear. Black Lance, antimatter payload confirmed, en route to horizon, no survivors expected. The room went silent. Gareth swore. Black Lance, I'd heard rumors. Council's private strike force, no oversight, no morals. Briggs spat. Cowards. Nathan's mind raced. The antimatter warheads were no longer theory. They were moving, and horizon was the target. How far out? He demanded. Lennox shook his head. Unknown. Could be days, could be hours. Nathan's voice cut like steel. Then we don't wait. The horizon roared to life, jump drives charging as Nathan gave the order to move. The planned strike on the Council's depot would have to serve another purpose now. Bait. If Black Lance was hunting them, better to force them into the open, on ground of Nathan's choosing. Briggs joined him on the bridge, checking weapon readiness. Crews prepped. Drones are on standby. If Black Lance shows, we'll be ready. Nathan nodded. We don't give them a clean shot. We hunt them first. The jump to the target system, Reinar Belt, a dense asteroid field hiding one of the Council's largest fuel depots, was swift. The moment horizon emerged, chaos followed. Enemy ships scrambled to respond. Automated defenses lit up the void. Nathan wasted no time. Main batteries, target fuel silos, wipe them. The Horizon's guns fired in a synchronized barrage. The silos erupted, chain reactions tearing through the facility. Council patrol ships attempted to intercept, but the ancient supercarrier's shields held firm. And then, they arrived. Black Lance. 3 sleek, obsidian-hulled cruisers dropped from warp. Silent, angular, bristling with unfamiliar weaponry. They didn't broadcast. They didn't hail. They locked weapons. Nathan stood. All hands, brace. Point defense online. Briggs swore. Fast bastards, they're circling. The enemy cruisers moved with terrifying speed. Their weapons unlike anything seen before. Lances of energy that pulsed rather than burned, designed to disrupt shield harmonics. For the first time, the Horizon's shields flickered under the onslaught. Minor breaches reported on outer decks, Lennox called. Nathan's eyes were ice. Return fire. Target drive cores. The Horizon's railguns tracked, but the Black Lance ships were agile, darting through the debris of the destroyed depot. They were trying to herd the supercarrier, force it into a kill zone. Captain! Briggs shouted. New contact, signature matches antimatter carrier. It's inbound at high velocity. Nathan's blood ran cold. This was the trap. The fast cruisers were baiting them, keeping them in place for the warhead delivery. But Nathan wasn't about to play their game. He keyed the AI. Emergency jump prep. Short range. Minimum charge. Get us into the asteroid field, now. Complying. The Horizon's jump drives roared to life. Raw, unstable, but functional. Space twisted, and the massive ship vanished in a flash, reappearing deep within the tangled heart of the asteroid belt. Debris fields surrounded them now. dense, chaotic, perfect for evasion. The Black Lance ships would be forced to come in slower, or risk collision. Briggs exhaled. "Gutsy move." Nathan's voice was steel. "We're not done." He turned to Lennox. "Deploy drone net, passive sensors. I want those bastards tracked." Thousands of micro-drones launched from hidden bays, scattering through the rocks. The horizon went dark. Active systems powered down, running silent. Now they waited. An hour passed. The tension was suffocating. The crew spoke in whispers, every sensor operator glued to their displays. Then came the signal. Lennox's voice was low. "They're here. 2 of the cruisers moving slow through the field. No sign of the antimatter carrier yet." Nathan's mind raced. The 3rd cruiser and the carrier were likely holding back, waiting for a clear shot. He made the call. "Ambush. Target the closest cruiser. Minimal firing window. 1 volley." The Horizon's primary batteries aligned silently. When the enemy ship crossed the kill zone, Nathan gave the word. "Fire." A single railgun salvo, so fast, so sudden, the cruiser had no time to react. The projectile punched clean through its spine, splitting the ship in half. The debris hadn't even settled before Nathan was moving. "Jump drives. Charge again. We don't wait." As the Horizon prepped for another short hop, the remaining Black Lance ships scrambled. But too late. The ancient carrier blinked out once more, vanishing deeper into the asteroid maze. But Nathan knew this was only a temporary win. The Black Lance carrier was still hunting them. The antimatter warhead was still in play. He gathered Briggs, Lennox, and his top tacticians in the war room. "We can't stay on the run forever," Nathan said bluntly. "We either take the fight to them, or they will catch us eventually." Briggs leaned in. "We hit them first." Lennox added, "We've cracked partial comms from the cruisers. They're coordinating with a deep space relay. If we find it, we find their carrier." Nathan's eyes gleamed. "Good. Then we find it." For the next 2 days, the Horizon played the most dangerous game of cat and mouse in its long history, moving through hidden jump points, launching probe waves, intercepting fragmented transmissions. Finally, the breakthrough came. Lennox burst into the war room with a data slate. "Relay located. Small asteroid base, unguarded, deep in the Tyros expanse. That's their coordination point." Nathan smiled coldly. "Then we pay them a visit." The Horizon emerged from jump, its guns primed, its shields at full. The asteroid base was small, but the Black Lance carrier was there. Sleek, deadly, armed with a single massive antimatter missile suspended beneath its keel. There was no time for subtlety. "Main guns. Target the carrier's launch systems," Nathan ordered. "1 shot. Disable it." The Horizon fired. The particle lance struck with unerring precision, shearing through the carrier's mounting struts. The antimatter missile broke free, drifting harmlessly into space. Without its weapon, the Black Lance carrier turned to flee. But the Horizon was faster now, its drives tuned to perfection. Nathan gave the final order. "End it," Railgun spoke. The enemy ship exploded in a silent blaze. The trap had been sprung. The threat, for now, was ended. Back aboard the bridge, Briggs stood beside Nathan, watching the aftermath on the holo display. "That's 1 bullet dodged," Briggs said. Nathan's gaze was hard. "There will be more." He looked at the star map, already lighting with new threats. The war was escalating, but now the Horizon had struck back, and the message was clear. Humanity would not be hunted. Not anymore. Nathan's voice rang across the ship. "All hands, prepare for next phase. This is only the beginning." The stars never stopped moving. Nathan stood alone on the observation deck of the Horizon, watching the endless void stretch beyond. For weeks now, they had been fighting a ghost war, striking fast, vanishing faster. The council called them pirates, traitors. The alien coalitions whispered of human supremacists. Nathan didn't give a damn about the labels. The truth was simpler. Humanity had been brought low by its so-called allies and the politicians who sold them out. Now they were standing up again, and the galaxy couldn't stand it. Footsteps behind him. Briggs, as always. The man was his shadow, his second blade. "Sir." Briggs's voice was grim. "You need to see this." Nathan followed him back to the war room. The holomap was alive with new data. Lennox gestured to the display. "We've confirmed it through 3 separate channels. The Council isn't playing games anymore. They've called in the Coalition Grand Armada." Nathan's jaw tightened. The Grand Armada, an alliance fleet of alien warships, thousands strong, reserved only for existential threats. Now they were calling Horizon an existential threat. "They're massing at Delvar's Gate," Lennox continued. "That's 2 jumps from us. Estimated strike window, 1 week. Briggs swore softly. "They're going to carpet the sector. Full burn. No prisoners." Nathan absorbed the news in silence. Then he spoke. "We won't be here when they arrive." Briggs frowned. "Retreat?" "Not retreat," Nathan said. His eyes were cold steel. "Counterpunch." The plan came together in hours. If the Council wanted to bring their entire hammer down on Horizon, then the handle needed to be cut. Logistics, communications, morale, every piece of the war machine had a weakness. And Nathan knew exactly where to hit. The Orath Nexus, an artificial megastation near Coalition space, where the Council and its alien allies routed war supplies, fuel, and command networks. It wasn't just a target, it was the target. Briggs looked skeptical when Nathan laid out the assault plan. "Sir, even with this beast of a ship, going into the Nexus is suicide. That station's got defenses that'll tear most fleets apart." Nathan's gaze didn't waver. "That's why they won't expect us to do it. They think we're going to run. We don't. We cripple their center, and when their Grand Armada arrives, it won't be able to feed itself." Gareth patched in from the Vengeance, his eyes gleaming. "I'm in. The Remnant's with you. If we're going down, we'll do it loud." Nathan smiled. "Then we hit them where it hurts." Final prep took 3 days. The Horizon underwent rapid repairs, weapons reloaded, shield matrices tuned to peak. Meanwhile, the Remnant mobilized everything they had. Old Dominion frigates, stealth ships, converted freighters packed with torpedoes. It wasn't a proper fleet. But it didn't have to be. This was a raid. And Nathan's goal wasn't to hold territory. It was to break their enemies back. The jump to Orath Nexus would take them through hostile space, patrol routes, sensor nets, traps everywhere. But Nathan had one advantage: the Horizon's ancient jump drives, capable of skip jumps the modern navies couldn't track. When the moment came, Nathan stood on the bridge, voice steady over ship-wide comms. "All hands. Today we strike at the heart of the beast. You know why you're here. You know what's at stake. We will not yield. We will not crawl. Let's remind them. Humanity fights back." The response was thunderous. The Horizon dropped into the Nexus system under cloak. Not full stealth, it was too big for that, but masked emissions, minimal signature. Before them, Orath Nexus loomed, a titanic structure the size of a small moon, ringed with shipyards, fuel platforms, and defensive batteries. A sea of enemy ships patrolled the perimeter. Frigates, cruisers, even a few capital ships. Nathan studied it calmly. "They're not expecting us," Lennox confirmed. "Long-range scans show no Grand Armada elements present. They committed them to Delvar's Gate. We've got a window." Briggs cracked his knuckles. "Let's kick it in." Nathan gave the order. "Main batteries. Target primary fuel spires. Launch drone waves. Full saturation. Bring up ECM screens." The first salvo was apocalyptic. The Horizon's railguns hammered the fuel spires, massive towers feeding the entire nexus. One by one, they detonated, chain reactions ripping through adjacent sectors. Drone waves flooded the space lanes, decoys, jammers, assault units. Enemy ships scrambled in chaos, comms overloaded. The remnant strike groups darted in from multiple vectors, sowing further confusion. Nathan remained calm at the center of it all, issuing precise commands. Secondary batteries, anti-ship focus, prioritize command vessels. Pulse cannons, suppress fighter swarms. Maintain shield modulation, cycle frequencies. The enemy fought back hard. Nexus defense platforms opened fire, hammering the Horizon's shields. Smaller ships swarmed, desperate to slow the supercarrier. But the Horizon moved like a predator, vast, implacable, shrugging off blows that would gut lesser ships. Within 30 minutes, the Nexus was burning. Supply depots shattered, command networks down, fuel reserves venting into space. Nathan saw it on the tactical screens, panic rippling through the enemy ranks. This wasn't a battle, it was a statement. Then came the counterstroke. "New contacts!" Lennox shouted. "Heavy reinforcements inbound! Council Elite Guard!" A dozen enemy capital ships dropped from warp, weapons hot. They had been waiting, just beyond the system's edge. Briggs swore. "It's a trap!" Nathan's voice cut through the tension. "Good, we're not done yet." He keyed the AI. "Shift battle posture, evasive. Target the lead ships. We punch a hole and get out." The Horizon turned, engines flaring. Its ancient hull groaned under the strain, but Nathan trusted it. "Fire!" The main lance discharged, tearing a Council battleship in two. The remnant ships flanked the gap, pouring fire into enemy formations. But it was a brutal fight. Enemy plasma beams scored the Horizon's flanks. Shields dipped. Hull alarms rang. Lennox called out damage reports. Decks 12 through 15, breaches sealed, starboard railguns offline. We can't stay in this pocket. Nathan made the call. "Emergency jump, pre-programmed vectors. We scatter, regroup after." Briggs looked to him. "You sure?" Nathan's voice was iron. "We came here to break them, not to die here. Execute." The Horizon's jump drives charged amid a storm of enemy fire. At the last moment, the great ship vanished in a burst of warped space, remnant ships executing their own jumps seconds later. The raid was over. When Nathan stood again on the Horizon's battered bridge, reports were still coming in. Casualties, damage, losses, but the strategic data told the real story. Gareth patched in. His face was bruised, his ship scorched, but his smile was fierce. "We did it. The Nexus is crippled. Their fleets at Delvar's Gate are already reporting fuel shortages and comm blackouts." Briggs grinned. "We hit 'em harder than they thought possible." Nathan's gaze was steady. "We're not done. We hit again and again until they choke on this war." But even as they savored the victory, new alerts pinged on the holomap. Lennox's voice was grim. "Sir, new intel. The Coalition Grand Armada is accelerating. Estimated time to sector, 4 days. And there's more." Nathan turned. "They've authorized planet killers." The room went cold. Briggs swore softly. "They'll glass any colony that backs us." Nathan's eyes burned. "Then we intercept them. No more running." He straightened, voice echoing through the ship. "All hands. Battle stations. Prepare the Horizon. This ends one way or another." 4 days. That was all they had. Nathan stalked the Horizon's battered bridge, watching the star map update with grim precision. The Coalition Grand Armada was moving faster than projections, burning hard through the jump lanes, drawing every warship from a dozen species into one unstoppable wedge. Their orders were simple: annihilate any human colony flying the resistance flag. Glass the worlds. Break the will to fight. Planet killers, massive dreadnoughts fitted with gravitic bombardment cannons, led the charge. If they reached the heart of the rebel-held systems, it would be over. Briggs watched Nathan carefully. We can't fight them toe-to-toe, not all at once. Nathan didn't argue. Number? But we don't have to. He keyed the holo display, bringing up a deep space transit map. Here, the Chiron Expanse. Lennox frowned. The dust fields? No one jumps through there. It's unstable. Exactly, Nathan said. Which is why their fleet is using the main corridor to bypass it. They'll be strung out. Massive formation, but stretched thin. That's where we hit. Briggs leaned in, nodding slowly. Divide and bleed them. Nathan's voice was steel. We cripple their vanguard. Take out the planet killers before they can deploy. Without those, their psychological war fails. Gareth patched in from the Vengeance, his image haggard but sharp. You're a madman, Hale. But I like it. The remnant's ready. Nathan gave a cold smile. Then let's give them a fight they'll never forget. The next 2 days were a frenzy of preparation. The Horizon limped through hasty repairs, shield projectors retuned, hull breaches sealed with raw plating, ammunition stocks rebuilt from scavenged caches. Engineers pushed the ancient drives beyond safe limits, tuning them for rapid skirmish jumps. It would be a running fight. Remnant forces converged, every available ship called in. The fleet that assembled was ragged, battered, but dangerous. Veterans with nothing left to lose. On the eve of the strike, Nathan addressed them all via tight beam broadcast. Brothers, sisters, this is the line. The enemy comes not to fight us in open battle, but to murder worlds, to burn civilians, to break us through terror. He stood tall in his battered armor, eyes burning. We will not allow it. We will strike first. We will show them that humanity remembers how to fight and how to win. They want to break us? Let them come. We'll break them first. The fleet moved under deep jump protocols, skimming the Chiron Expanse, sensors masked, signatures minimized. When they emerged, they saw it, the Grand Armada. It filled the void, thousands of ships in layered formation. At its heart, the planet killers, 3 titanic dreadnoughts, each bristling with gravitic cannons. Nathan stood on the Horizon's bridge, voice calm. This is it. We strike hard, fast, and vanish. Shields full. All hands, battle stations. Briggs gave a wolfish grin. Let's dance. The Horizon jumped in first, appearing on the Armada's forward flank, guns already primed. Before the enemy could react, its main batteries fired, railguns and particle lances ripping through a squadron of escort cruisers. The vanguard reeled. Moments later, the remnant strike wings dropped in, attack craft weaving through the chaos, targeting exposed logistics ships and sensor platforms. The Armada's command structure scrambled, fleets shifted, orders crossed. For a brief, crucial window, confusion reigned. Nathan seized it. Target the lead planet killer, all batteries, fire! The Horizon's guns spoke. The first dreadnought's shields flared, then cracked under the ancient carrier's relentless assault. Its engines ruptured, a cascade of explosions tearing through its superstructure. Cheers erupted across the bridge. One down, but the enemy was recovering fast. The Armada's heavy wings turned, pouring fire toward the Horizon. Massive beams raked its shields. The great ship shuddered. Shields holding, 80%, Lennox called. Nathan's gaze was hard. We keep moving. Next target. For the next hour, the battle became a deadly dance. The Horizon executed skip jumps, short bursts that repositioned it unpredictably across the battle space. With each jump, it struck, crippling escorts, savaging supply ships, hammering the remaining planet killers. The remnant fought like wolves, darting in and out of formation, inflicting brutal losses. But the Armada's sheer mass was grinding them down. More and more enemy ships closed in, trapping escape vectors. On the bridge, alarms flared. "Multiple lock-ons! Carrier wings inbound, heavy torpedoes!" Nathan made the call. "Deploy drone nets, full saturation. Target torpedoes first." Clouds of defensive drones swarmed, intercepting the incoming barrage. Still, impacts shook the horizon, armor plating buckling. Briggs looked grim. "We can't stay in this pocket, sir. They'll swamp us." Nathan nodded. "Time to break out." He keyed the AI. "Target the second planet killer. Max power. 1 shot. Then jump." Complying. The horizon charged its main lance. Energy surged through its ancient spine. Fire! A beam of raw force lashed out, piercing the second planet killer's core. The dreadnought split apart, spilling wreckage into the void. Before the debris cleared, the horizon jumped, reappearing on the Armada's rear flank. The battle raged for hours. The Armada lost cohesion. Units broke formation to chase the horizon and its allies, stretching the fleet dangerously thin. Meanwhile, Nathan kept up the pressure. Hit-and-run strikes, deep cuts that bled the enemy from within. Finally, only one planet killer remained, heavily shielded, guarded by the Armada's core reserves. Nathan knew this was the moment. He stood, eyes blazing. "All power to main guns. Target last planet killer. We end this." The bridge crew worked with desperate speed. The horizon's battered systems groaned, but obeyed. At the critical moment, Nathan gave the order. "Fire!" The particle lance fired, its beam punching through overlapping shields, striking deep into the dreadnought's core. For a moment, nothing. Then, detonation. The last planet killer exploded in a chain reaction that rocked the entire battle space. Cheers broke out across the fleet. The Armada had lost its terror weapons. But the fight wasn't over. The remaining enemy ships closed in, intent on revenge. Briggs turned to Nathan. "Sir, extraction window's closing. We need to jump." Nathan nodded once. "Signal all ships, break off, regroup at fallback point." The horizon's drives flared once more, its final jump carrying it out of the Armada's collapsing formation. Remnant ships followed, battered but victorious. Later, aboard the scarred but still standing horizon, Nathan stood with Briggs and Gareth in the war room. The holomap showed the aftermath. The Grand Armada was in disarray. Its central objective failed, its cohesion broken. Colonies across the sector were rallying, emboldened by the victory. Gareth grinned. "You mad bastard. You did it." Nathan's voice was steady. "We bought time, nothing more. The war's not over." Briggs added, "But now the whole galaxy knows we're not beaten." Nathan looked at the map. New fronts forming, new allies emerging. His eyes were cold, determined. "This was just the first round. Now we take the fight to them." The horizon drifted at the edge of a known space, battle-scarred, its hull scorched, its crew worn thin. But it still flew, and that mattered. News of the Grand Armada's defeat had spread faster than any signal Nathan could have sent. The fact that the ancient human supercarrier had survived and destroyed the planet killers sent a shockwave through every corner of the galaxy. Allies were emerging now from the shadows, colonies declaring independence, old Dominion loyalists resurfacing, even some alien factions, those long disillusioned with the Council, began sending discreet messages. But with opportunity came danger. Nathan stood in the horizon's war room, watching the latest intelligence feeds. Briggs and Gareth flanked him. Lennox pointed to the central holo display. "Council's scrambling. They're calling an emergency summit at Eros Station. Neutral ground, or what passes for it." Briggs snorted. "More like a den of snakes." Gareth's expression was darker. Word is, they're fast-tracking authorization for a total war declaration. No more pretense. Full-scale extermination of resistance forces. Nathan's jaw clenched. If they get that vote through, every world that stood with us becomes fair game. He turned to the star map. Eros Station. If the council leadership meets there, we need to be there first. Briggs frowned. Assault? Extraction? Assassination? Nathan shook his head. Number, we're going to force them to listen. Both men stared at him. You're serious, Gareth said slowly. Nathan's eyes were cold steel. They've spent years pushing the lie that humanity is broken, that we have no voice. That ends now. We're going to show them the truth, on their doorstep. The plan was insane, but no one on the horizon flinched. For days, the ship was prepared for what might be its most dangerous mission yet. Not a battle, but an appearance, an act of defiance. Eros Station was a fortress, neutral by law, but ringed with defense platforms, coalition fleets on standby. No sane warship would enter its space uninvited. But Horizon wasn't just a warship anymore. It was the symbol. And Nathan knew that sometimes the right symbol broke more walls than 1,000 guns. He called the crew to attention before the jump. All of you know what this means, Nathan said, voice carrying across the battered decks. We go unarmed. If they fire on us, they expose their own lies. If they don't, we speak. Not just for ourselves, but for every human voice they tried to silence. He looked at them. Veterans, exiles, new recruits. Everyone had chosen this fight. Whatever happens next, Nathan said, you've already made history. Now let's finish it. The jump into Eros space was like threading a needle with a warhammer. The Horizon emerged at minimal power, shields raised only to navigation strength, weapons cold. Its comms broadcast an open message on all council channels. This is Captain Nathan Hale of the Horizon. We come unarmed to speak, fire, and the galaxy will know who the aggressors are. The response was immediate and chaotic. Dozens of coalition warships scrambled, fighters launched, defense platforms locked on. Nathan stood unmoving on the bridge. Hold position. Do not raise weapons. Minutes crawled past. Then came the voice of Admiral Harrow himself, now the Council's military mouthpiece. Hale, you're a fool. You think walking into Eros makes you legitimate? You're an outlaw, a terrorist. Nathan keyed the channel calmly. If that's true, Admiral, then why haven't you fired? Silence. The cameras were watching. The neutral observers on Eros Station were already transmitting live. Billions were tuned in. The Council couldn't fire without exposing its hypocrisy. Finally, after a tense pause, "You will be granted an audience," Harrow said bitterly. "Under guard. No weapons." Nathan gave a cold smile. Understood. The shuttle ride to Eros Station was eerily quiet. Nathan wore no armor, only the dark captain's uniform of a dead empire. Briggs and Gareth flanked him as representatives. No weapons, just words. As they docked, armed guards met them, alien and human alike, eyes full of hate, fear, curiosity. Nathan walked past them without hesitation. The council chamber was a grand theater of power, tiered seats filled with delegates from every major faction. Humans were a minority here, token faces placed for appearances. At the central dais, the council's ruling circle sat, Admiral Harrow among them, scowling openly as Nathan and his men approached. Gasps rippled through the chamber. The Horizon's captain had dared walk into the lion's den. Nathan stood tall, gaze sweeping the assembly. Then he spoke. "You call us outlaws. You call us terrorists. But we fight for survival, for freedom, for the right of humanity to stand without a leash." His voice carried, amplified across the chamber and every broadcast channel. For decades, this council has used peace as a mask for subjugation. You let our colonies rot. You sold our worlds to coalition interests. And when we rose to defend ourselves, you sent fleets to burn us down." Harrow sneered. "Enough of this theater. You have no authority here, Hale." Nathan met his gaze, unflinching. "No." "Then explain why your fleets are broken. Why your Grand Armada failed. Why your colonies are rising in rebellion." Murmurs spread through the delegates. Many had seen the footage. Many knew the truth, even if they feared to speak it. Nathan pressed on. "You can pass your declarations. You can call for extermination. But know this: every world you attack will fight back. Every injustice you commit will birth 1,000 more rebels. Humanity will not be crushed again." He took one last step forward, voice ringing with conviction. "And if you doubt that, just remember this: your planet killers are gone, your armada failed, and Horizon still flies." The chamber erupted. Shouts, arguments, calls for order. The council had been forced to listen. The galaxy had heard the words. And Nathan knew, as he turned and walked out under heavy guard, that no matter what came next, the tide had shifted. Back aboard the Horizon, Briggs met him at the airlock. "No shots fired. No backstab. I'll call that a win." Nathan nodded. "They won't forget this day." Gareth joined them. "We've got new messages coming in already. More colonies ready to stand. Even a few alien groups disgusted by what the Council tried to pull." Nathan's gaze was hard. "Good, because the war's not over. Now comes the real fight. Building something from this chaos. A future worth bleeding for." Later, alone on the observation deck, Nathan watched the stars. The old war was gone. The new war was here. The Horizon would lead it. Humanity would rise. And no council decree would ever change that again.